just like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping through sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stu and JT Brew.
Welcome one, welcome all here on the Stu with JT Brew. Again, college football betting's week number 3. I have to say it out because sometimes I just forget, and every once in a while I figure I say it. Thank you to my guy Chase Baby, who made that intro song for us, local Champaign, Illinois rapper, putting that together for me. One of the great intro songs of podcasts. Really did a great job for me on that one. Super pumped about it. If you get a chance, go to Bandcamp, look up his songs, check out his music, download them, support local music, support local artists. With that out of the way, Benny, thanks for joining me here, the Stu JT Brew on Fantasy in Frames late night Tuesday edition. If you're up late, this is the time. If you're like me in bed, this is the time. You put the wife and the kids to bed. You sit down on the couch. You make yourself a beverage. You start watching little highlights. You break out the phone. You start flipping through and going, what's going on this weekend? What games I want to bet on? This is when you start doing the research. This is when you start looking around late night. So that's what you're going to do with us tonight is we're going to look through week 3, a couple interesting week 2, the first couple weeks of the season, Ben. It's been exciting, man. I know I always miss college football, but then when it happens, I'm like, man, I really miss college football. What a great start to the season so far.
Oh, man, there's nothing like college football. As soon as you think you know something about some teams, it's so week to week. They will just come out and either completely surprise you and play out of their minds, or they'll just crap the bed. I mean, it is one or the other, it seems like, in college football. But, it's that's what makes it exciting. You kind of got to get the ebbs and flows down and pick your spots and kind of know when you think teams are going to come in. I feel like momentum. There's no other sport, right, where momentum is big than college football. You can have a team that, they 1 week they just look world beaters, but then you just know they're going to be in that letdown spot, and they're playing a team they think that they should roll with no problem. And the next thing you know, they're in a 1-score game with 5 minutes to go in the game. So that's what makes it great, though. You just got to pick. You got to find those spots where you think that's going to happen, but. It was so weekend for me. Pretty much, it kind of like week 1. Really, it was more or less a wash. I had a couple good ones, had a couple bad ones, had a couple, that ruined a couple parlays. So it was very similar to week 1 for me.
Yeah, same boat as I was in. I had a couple bets that I really loved, and then of course I say this all the time. I take that little boost on the 4-team parlay, and I kick myself because I was like, why didn't I just take the 2-team parlay? I should have just taken the 2-teamer with the 2 games I liked the most and pop those together. Got a little greedy with some big 4-teamers that just slightly missed on. I think, Benny, me and you, I think we both have been in the boat where the live betting has saved us the first 2 weeks. Jumping in on a couple live bets when we're kind of getting a feel for what's going on in the game is kind of really saved us. So we're to start things off here, we're going to go over a couple games last week, some games we liked, didn't like, and kind of talk about what we hit, what we didn't hit. I'll start off with one of the games I liked a lot was Syracuse at home against Georgia Tech. Yeah, Georgia Tech, the big win, season over against Florida State. It was a nice win and nothing take anything away from them, but we are starting to see what kind of team Florida State is, and they're not good. So this was a game I liked. Syracuse, much improved. Kyle McCord, right now, to me, he is not getting the notoriety he should be getting. He was basically run out of town at Ohio State. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter, people posted he was, yelling in the sidelines, getting guys fired up. And they're like, a bunch of Ohio State fans got on there like, well, where was this Kyle McCord at Ohio State? And he's just not a winner. And I guess he can be good at a lower tier school, just totally ripping him. And I'm like, man, this guy lost one game and he lost it to the freaking national champions. And you would think at Ohio State, he was some freaking bum off the street. and he's terrible. He goes to Syracuse. Every Syracuse fan I know cannot be happier to have Kyle McCord. I mean, this guy was a 4-star recruit out of Philadelphia. I mean, he is not a he has lit it up for the Cuse.
Yep.
Plus 350 yards, 4 touchdowns in each of the first 2 games. This guy is lighting it up. Syracuse almost, I had the +3. We talked about it last week. I loved them on the +3 at home. I thought this would be a close game, but I thought Syracuse, if they lost, it would be close. They actually were dominating early. And then they ended up letting Georgia Tech back in it. They were up 31-14 with 8 minutes to go at one point and gave up 2 late scores. The Georgia Tech cut it to 3 with 2:45 left before the Cuse were able to kind of put it away. But just another monster game out of Kyle McCord. I've been loving, if you can find his props, take those overs. He has been hitting them every week. And another guy that's been really nice on the props is Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech, another 266 with a touchdown through the air and 67 on the ground with 2 touchdowns for him. He's been solid. Rondo Gadsden, the tight end, is, if you notice that name, his dad played in the NFL for a while, was on the Dolphins, a few other teams. He missed all last season with injury. He might be the best tight end in the nation. 6 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a 50-yarder that got called back the week before on just a real bad holding call that had nothing to do with the play, away from play. He's been fantastic right off the bat for them. So the Q's covered there. So if you jumped on my +3 there, you were golden. If you got on the money line, you were really good. Another game me and you, Ben, we discussed, and we both were we were leaning. I was like, man, I feel like they're going to be in this game, was Oregon Boise State. They were 19.5 earlier in the week.
Yeah, this one got me. I liked Oregon. I just thought they were going to.
I was leaning. I just thought the points were too many. You were like, I feel like they bounced back. So that's why I wanted to bring this up, because you're on one side and I was on the other on this one. Boise State looked like they were going to get the win, and they ended up losing by. But they got the cover on 37-34 loss.
Yeah, I was on Oregon. I just thought that they would, that they didn't have to do much in that first game, that they would basically put up a giant number against Boise, especially the way their defense looked in week 1. Boise's defense was horrendous in week 1. But I tell you, GT, man, he's the real deal. And and that boy, us talking about Boise potentially making the playoff and having that little wager in there, I don't think this loss hurts them at all. If anything, it's going to maybe look good on their resume in the end. They barely lost.
They can finish 11-1.
Could have won this game. So.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. At Oregon, which everyone knows, Autzen Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in America. Them losing that game by 3, had a chance to win it. 25 for 192 and 3 touchdowns out of GT. Our Doak Walker plus 750 award is looking pretty nice right now out of him. But I mean, this was a 34-27 Boise State lead, and then a 100-yard kickoff return by Oregon to tie it up at 34 all, and then kicked a field goal, 24-yarder with 2 seconds left to win it 34-30 was pretty unbelievable. Yeah, I think Boise State, if you can go 11-1 with your only loss by 3 at Oregon, I like their chances to make the playoffs. So that's one we talked about preseason, was Boise State taking them to make the playoffs. A couple other games in here, a few surprising ones. Arizona, Northern Arizona. We talked about the monster game for Ted McMillan in week 1 with 300 yards. We're like,
where'd he
we
go?
took him over 1,000. We felt like we were like golden. We're like, what a way to start the year.
Yeah.
Not the same thing catches? In week 2. Northern 2 catches for Ted McMillan in week 2. 2 for 11 yards. So 1 catch for 12 yards, 1 catch for -1 yards. It was a struggle all day for Arizona after they looked great in week 1. I actually took the points. It was 37.5. I was like, Arizona's going to roll them. I was like, this is a 45-3 game, 45-7 game. And Northern Arizona, I luckily jumped in this game live bet, and I took the under. It was 64.5. At one point, it was 46.5, and I was like, there is no way it's getting to 46. This game is ugly as it can get, and I luckily jumped on the under to get to that one. But, yeah, hopefully Ted has a big comeback game. Looking at a couple other games that we talked about in the year, Ohio State covering 37.5, over 54.5, won 56-0. We kind of both felt like they might put it to Western Michigan after they played Wisconsin tough. The game I was totally off on, and I will admit this, I was wrong. I kind of thought NC State might stick with Tennessee at home. I kind of felt like this could be a little bit of a shootout. They got absolutely torched.
Yeah.
Ooh, 51-10 Tennessee over NC State. For anybody that had the NC State players on your college football fantasy teams, I'm sorry. I had McCall, I had Waters, I had Conception, I had all these guys that just absolutely lit it up week 1. They did nothing for me in week 2. It was ugly as could be. Tennessee looked real good. Tennessee looks like they're going to be in the mix there in the SEC. The other game that I'm just going to have to take it on the chin, and I was getting texts left and right for.
Here it comes.
Colorado, Nebraska. I thought Colorado was going to come out.
With Colorado, but back in my mind,
I thought they were going to come out and really, put on an offensive show. I thought this would be a close game. They just got absolutely dominated from the very beginning. Nebraska, I tell you what, they didn't do a lot offensively. It wasn't like Nebraska just rolled them. Their defense just dominated this game. Early pick six. And that was the thing is once they got up, it was like they didn't have to do anything. They're like, oh, we're holding strong. 16 total rushing yards after all the sacks. 6 times Shadur Sanders got sacked in this game after being so good in week 1 by not taking sacks. They just could not move the ball. A couple really bad drops for Colorado. They got down 14-0 in the first quarter, and then just a couple more bad turnovers and plays that set them up for short fields. It was 28-0 at halftime. I jumped on the plus 21.5 at halftime was the only thing that saved me here for Colorado. People were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm 21.5. I'm getting on it. They're going to get back in this thing. They lost 28-10. So I did get the cover on that, but man, just nothing out of Colorado in the second half. I still am a believer that Colorado can be decent this year, but I'm going to admit, I think they're a little worse than I thought, but I also think Nebraska, I hate to freaking say it, I think Nebraska is a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I think they probably are. I think Nebraska's probably decent. They're gonna win some games, but again, that's college football. I mean, the problem with being in Colorado is you're gonna, because of who you are, and it's all the hype and all the stuff. Even though they're not even a top 25 team really, but every team that plays them is going to play them like it's their biggest game of the year. And you're going to have to deal with that every week because you're Colorado. So, you're just not going to catch anyone sleeping against you. That's the thing. Every game's going to be tough. So.
Yeah. And I think that's, I over under on this year was 6.5. I was like very iffy on that. I was like, man, I could see this team going 6-6. I could see him playing really well and going 8-4. I'm just hoping at this point they put up points because I have a ton of these guys in college fantasy football leagues.
So I need
Sanders. So I think they're going to do that. I was really impressed with the Nebraska defense. I think they really turned it on. My niece, who actually goes to Colorado, went to the game. She said it was an insane atmosphere in Nebraska after getting absolutely worked at Colorado last year. I think they had this thing circled on the schedule all off season. They were ready for this game, and they came out and might have played their best game of the year. Couple other games looking through it, I kind of felt like it might be one of those weeks where we got a lot of covers from some of these big dogs, and man, we did not see that. The Arizona game we talked about, Alabama had to absolutely run it at the end, and then they still didn't cover. They won 42-16. They were a 30.5 point favorite. I had them at the 30.5. I thought this was an easy win for them. I thought 42, 49-7, something like that. Easy win. This one was close throughout. At one point, it was 14-13 in the third quarter. South Florida down by 1. Milroe ended up getting a touchdown pass at the beginning of the fourth quarter, make it 21-13. Then a field goal made it 21-16. And you're like, oh, man, this is going to be close. 3 late touchdowns in the last 5 minutes by Alabama made it look reasonable. But, man, that was a real close game by them. They got a little bit of a scare. I still think they're going to be good, but that was a little bit of an eye opener there. Looking through a couple of games, something I mentioned that I said I don't usually go against Air Force. I'm a big Air Force fan. I like them a lot. I said San Jose State
you
plus
called
3. I just felt like San Jose State was going to be ready. Air Force had a lot of turnover in the offseason. Low scoring 17-7. San Jose State got that one done. I was trying to look through one or two more games.
How about
Miami
Illinois, baby?
came on Illinois. That was a game that I told you I just was like, I really want to take them. I just don't know if I can do it. Really nice game out of the Illini. Big win at home against Kansas. 20
in a while.
In a long time. Sellout crowd at Memorial Stadium. It's been a while since that's happened in Illinois. 23-17 over number 19 Kansas. Big win there. I think the Illini are going to be in a lot more games than people realize this year. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I think we're going to, look, I was kind of looking at the schedule. I feel like maybe a little bit of a letdown spot this week, especially after a huge win like that, but we should take care of business against, Michigan. It's Western Michigan or Central Michigan, one of the two next week. But yeah, I think they're going to be in games. They're actually a little better than I expected. I think, especially on offense, I didn't expect us to be. We got number 4, Armstrong or
Zachariah Franklin. Franklin out of UTSA, a guy that I've talked about a lot because I had him at UTSA on a lot of fantasy football teams. He right now is the current leader in college football of active players for receptions and yards. He went to Ole Miss last year. Thought he was going to be a big-time player at Ole Miss. Something happened. I don't know what happened there, but he just got no playing time at Ole Miss. Decided to end up coming to Illinois. His offensive coordinator is the offensive coordinator at Illinois. I was like, I love that match. First game was a little silent, trying to work in, but, man, he made an unbelievable one-handed catch. If you haven't seen it, look that thing up on the internet. Zachariah Franklin, Illinois, one-handed catch. He had 9 catches for 99 yards. I think he just adds another element to the line. They can get by Central Michigan. Friday night game, 2 weeks away. Nebraska at Nebraska would be a real big one for them. That could be an interesting game. I think people didn't think Illinois would be in that game. I think there's a chance that's a dogfight.
Yep. 100% agree. And then we had Northern Illinois, a couple of Northern Illinois schools.
Northern Illinois was the next team I was going to bring up. We had a couple buddies go to Northern. The Huskies, just absolutely murdering my Notre Dame in the college football playoffs bet.
Oh, that's right.
Wow, 16-14. The Huskies get it done at Notre Dame a week after I was just singing their praises. I thought they would win at Texas A&M. They did win at Texas A&M. I was like, oh, that's one of the 3 big hurdles on the schedule. Yeah. And then they come back and lose at home as a 28-point favorite. Probably the biggest win in Northern Illinois history. Just an absolute great performance. 16-14, just a battle. Notre Dame could get no offensive going. A week after Riley Leonard, the transfer from Duke, looked really good. Throws 2 picks. Everything looks ugly, and Northern Illinois does just enough to get it done. Huge win for the Huskies.
Yeah, it seemed like, and I didn't watch the game, live, but just watching it back and watching some of the highlights, it seemed like Northern just every time they needed like a 4th down conversion or a 3rd down conversion, they would just get it and just eat up more clock. And then it was, it gets to that point in the game where all of a sudden Notre Dame's like, holy crap, and then once you get tight, you get a little nervous. And then next thing you know, you just lost to Northern Illinois at home. So that was one of the bigger upsets in a long time right there.
Yeah. So we'll get back. We'll go over a couple more games from last week before we jump into the new weeks. The killer that absolutely buried a ton of people was Auburn. 21-14 loss at home to Cal. That one was ugly as it gets. I don't know if people saw online. Peyton Thorne, the Auburn quarterback, former Michigan State QB, was on there kind of complaining. He was getting a bunch of messages from fans sending him Venmos saying, send me some money for my lost bets. He went 14 to 27 for 165 yards with a touchdown and 4 picks. He actually had a 5th pick that got called back. That was a touchdown earlier in the game because it could have been worse. He did not play well. Auburn, to me, that was the shocker of the week. I think the money was, it was all on Auburn.
Yeah.
5 turnovers for the Tigers, and they just looked out of sorts as Cal with a big upset, 21-14 in that one. So that makes me go back to my Auburn. That hurts for people that took the over wins on Auburn at the beginning of the year in our preseason bet. We had one of our guys jump on and say, hey, I like that Auburn. I was like, oh, I kind of like that as I'm looking through. That one definitely makes it tough on that one. Probably other big game of the week that everybody was kind of waiting for was how was Michigan going to be at home, number 10 Michigan and number 3 Texas. Texas came out and dominated 31-12. They covered the 6.5. Over under was 42. So that obviously went over by 1 point. Ben, thoughts on that game? Is Michigan is definitely not the team we saw last year.
No, and I knew that they weren't going to be the same. I think most people know, they can't be the same team. They won the national title last year, a bunch of turnover, lose a lot of huge guys on their offensive side of the ball, but the defense, everybody was still touting as, a really tough defense. So to lose convincingly at home, to Texas, I definitely think Michigan's not, they may only be an 8-win team or something this year at this point. But that also could just mean that Texas might be that good too. I don't know. You go into Michigan and just wire to wire dominate the game. Texas was impressive.
I agree with you. I don't think Michigan is as bad as Texas made them look. I think Texas is pretty freaking good.
Pretty good.
I think teams better be ready for Texas this year. That's a hostile environment to play in. For them to go in and play the way they did, I thought was insanely impressive. One of the bets that I had that ended up getting buried in a parlay, I'll just bring it up as the last bet here. That Oklahoma State Arkansas game, if you were watching that game or you had money on that game, that thing was wild. Oklahoma State was a 10-point favorite, over under 61.5. I'm pretty sure I said it was my pick of the week. I really liked Oklahoma State. I did not believe Arkansas. They had a huge first week, but they played Arkansas Pine Bluff. I was like, this is just all smoke and mirrors. Oklahoma State's gonna rock them. I actually took them in a parlay with Syracuse at +3. Excuse me. I actually moved it down before it got to 10. I think it was at 9. I moved it down to 7. And I was like, oh, man, this is never going to hit. I am in trouble. As Arkansas came out early, looked really good. They got a 14-0. Then it was 21-7 at halftime. Then we started seeing Okie come back. I was like, okay, here we go. Second half. Let's roll it a little bit. Got out, started making some moves. They ended up getting back to 28-21 with 5 minutes left in the game. I'm like, oh, we're at 7, boys. Here we go. We're at a push. I was like, I'll take the push. I'm not gonna be greedy. I'll take the push. No big deal. Arkansas comes right back less than a minute later, gets a 43-yard touchdown pass, ties it up at 28. Now we're getting to the end of the game. I'm like, I'm in trouble. That was my spot to push. We're going to go to OT. Somebody's going to win by 3 or 6, and I'm done. Oklahoma State, 59 seconds left, kicks the field goal. I'm throwing my hat. 38-yarder, 31-28. I'm like, it's all over. Then they blow it. Terrible penalty. Actually, I have to go back. Before this, they got the field goal. They had thrown a huge deep pass Bowman to set up a Oklahoma State inside the 10. He got called for talking trash to the Arkansas sideline. He started pulling the guns and shooting the guns at the Arkansas sideline. I'm like, you can't do that. What are you doing? You're a senior, man. Shoot the guns after the game, brother. Like, don't do it right then. They got a 15-yard penalty, moved it all the way back. They kicked the field goal. So I was like, now I'm done. Because I was like, oh, they're going to score here. I'm going to get the push. Nope, field goal. I'm like, it's over. Arkansas comes right back. Huge pass play down the sideline. Then another play. In 50 seconds, they get in field goal range. They kick the field goal, 45 yards, send it to OT. I'm like, okay, Still can get 7-7. I needed
Yep.
a million things to happen. Arkansas plays for the field goal, or Oklahoma State plays for the field goal stupidly. They miss it. I'm like, all right, it's over. It's over. Here we go. Arkansas comes back. They miss the field goal. It goes to the second OT. And in second overtime, you have to go for
There
two.
you go.
I'm like, I have a shot. I'm like, Okie State's got the ball first. If they score a touchdown, go for two. I was like, I can actually cover. They do. They score, go for two. I get the cover 39-31. All they got to do is get a stop. They get a stop. I'm like, +8. I'm like, yes, that's the
Very
cover. And then I
unlikely.
blow it later at the night on Colorado +7, and they get smoked, and it blows the parlay up that already had 2 legs down. So that's my long story of my loss of the day. So sorry about that. I had to go back and relive that, which was horrible. Benny, it is now time. Let's get in to some action here. Week 3, let me pull up just a second here. I'm going to pull up the book, and we'll go through some of these things here. There we go. Technical difficulties. Now I've got it here. Here we are. So I've got DraftKings pulled up here. Let's talk about a few of these games. Let's jump in first. The Thursday night game, Arizona State -2 at Texas State +2. This game to me is really intriguing. I thought Arizona State wasn't going to be very good. I took Wyoming to beat them in week 1. Arizona State has looked good. Texas State was my outside shot to make the playoffs as one of the smaller schools to get in. They've looked really good. This could be an exciting game on Thursday night.
Yeah. I think it will be close. I mean, you look at the total, you're looking at 60. Seems like a lot of points, but both these teams have put up a lot of points. So I don't know. I'd have to dive a little bit deeper in, but these are, I mean, you kind of called Texas State. I don't think anybody thought Arizona State was going to be great, but they've looked really solid in their first 2 games. This is, like you said, this is going to be a pretty good game, I think.
This one ended up being a really nice game.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say this would be a really nice game for Texas State. If they got this win, that would really help them towards the playoffs because Arizona State has looked way better than people thought they were going to look. I'm going to have to think about this one. I'm like you. I don't really have a lean either way. I'm actually kind of excited to watch this game, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to be a good game. I kind of like the over, especially if I get a same game parlay going, move that number down a little bit and take the over. I could see that because both these teams have been done pretty good at putting up points so far this season. Both got dynamic quarterbacks. So that's definitely one I'm going to look at, see if we can get a little boost. We always love the boost, the same game parlay boost. Matt, going to do that and throw that out there on Thursday. So keep an eye out for that on X at JT Orange. If I get a nice little boost, same game parlay on Thursday, I'll jump on that one. Friday games here, as we're still early in the year, a couple more Friday games than usual. UNLV, Kansas. This is a really interesting one. Kansas coming off the loss. UNLV, Barry Odom, old Missouri head coach, knows the rivalry, hates Kansas. He's a Mizzou alum as well. +7 UNLV at Kansas -7. Man, I am leaning UNLV here. I know Kansas is going to want revenge. They're going to want a big game. They're at home. I think UNLV is sneaky good. Their quarterback runs the ball way better than he throws, but I'm liking UNLV with the points here. What do you think?
That's the way I would lean. And it's easy to say that with Kansas, getting beat by Illinois. Part of me thinks, well, they're going to come home and they're going to get it together because, they're going to think, well, we got to get this one at home. But I don't know. Sometimes you get kind of punched in the mouth like that. And then you come home and you got another team that you're supposed to beat. People think you're supposed to beat. Now it's almost like the pressure builds a little bit. It's like, well, you just got upset. Now you're going to potentially get upset again. I think UNLV, like you said, they're pretty good. So I think this game's going to come down to the wire. If I had to do anything, I'm definitely going to take the points, take UNLV in the points on this one.
Yeah, UNLV right now on the year, they've got 2 victories, a 27-7 win at Houston, and a 72-14 win against Utah Tech last week. So this is a big one here for Utah and Kansas alike. Like I said, right now I'm leaning UNLV there. on the points. This is one that if you would have asked me before last week, I'd have been like, I'm all over Arizona plus 7.5 at Kansas State.
Yeah,
After that ugly
they
game
struggled
last week
last
at
week.
Kansas State. Yeah, Kansas State number 14 in the country, Arizona number 20, both teams 2-0. Kansas State coming into this one, they've won back-to-back games, 41-6 over Tennessee Martin, and then a really tough, nice battle back and forth at Tulane with a 34-27 win. And then Arizona, like we talked about, that monster week one where they won 61-39 over New Mexico and then 22-10 over Northern Arizona. Benny, like I said, I would have jumped all over Arizona last week. I'm leaning Kansas State. I like it at 7 or under 7 if I could get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. What scares me about Arizona, and I've done good with Arizona since the end of last season, so it's tough for me to fade Arizona. But this year so far, they've not proven they can play really any defense. So that's what's scary because Kansas State only has to cover the 7, so it could be one of those deals where they could score late to go up 14, and I just don't see, unless I don't know. I'm with you. Arizona scares me on defense. They can't really stop anybody. They'll put up their points. It'll probably be a pretty close game, but if I had to do something, I'd lean Kansas State on this one, I think.
Yeah, if they can get back to their scoring ways like they did the week before, I could see taking the over here 59.5. But man, putting up 22 against Northern Arizona has got me nervous. Got me real nervous. But we know, hey, they're college kids. We know week to week, you never know what you're going to get. You'll see team put up 22, and then we talk trash about them. They're going to come out and score 50 against Kansas State in a 56-51 like shootout. You just never know on these ones. But right now, I got to see a little more something out of the Wildcats before I can start putting money back on them. I could see that.
That's a standalone game too. I could definitely see that game being an over. Because I think you're right. Arizona is going to be fired up. It was a little bit of a letdown spot last week. Kansas State's not going to take Arizona lightly, so I can see that being an over game and a Friday night game for sure.
Yep. Next one on the books, Alabama at Wisconsin. Usually don't see Alabama come up north and play early in the season like this. Man, Wisconsin is one of those teams that has not been impressive to me. Even though it's 15.5 and Alabama did not look great last week against South Florida, I'm leaning Alabama on this one. I have not liked what I've seen out of Wisconsin at all. Alabama 63-0 to 42-16. Wisconsin on the other side struggled a bit. They 28-14 winner over Western Michigan and then 27-13 against South Dakota. I think Bama puts it to them here. What do you think?
I'm with you. I cannot back Wisconsin, even though it's kind of got that 11 o'clock a.m. Big Ten, like Fox, like sleepy game feel to it. I just don't see Wisconsin. I don't see it. I can't back Wisconsin to cover the points in this one. It's too scary.
If Wisconsin was old Wisconsin pounding the rock, playing defense, I think I'd be like, oh, they'll cover. They'll stay within 2 scores. But now they want to throw it around. Now they want to get fancy. That's not who Wisconsin is. I think they're going to play right into Alabama's hands. I think Alabama smokes them. I really do. I think it's a
Alabama had one of those games too where they won, but they didn't play that great. So they're still gonna come into this game, on point. I actually like Alabama quite a bit in this one. So
yeah, I think they win by 3 scores. I'm all over Bama in this one. Next one, LSU, South Carolina. This one is super interesting to me because South Carolina looked freaking awful week 1. Awful. And then they came back and played Kentucky. Kentucky looked worse than they did week 1. I don't know what to believe in this team. I think LSU is a pretty good team. Garrett Nussmeier, if you have not watched him, I know Jalen Daniels won the Heisman last year. Absolute stud, first-round pick of the Washington Commanders. Garrett Nussmeier is no joke, man. This guy can sling it. Their offense is looking good. I think this game, I'm shocked this isn't double digits. I got to get on this early because this game's going to go up. South Carolina, only because they played well last week, is this game 7 points. I can't believe it's not double digits. I'm all over LSU. I think they go in and smoke South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this one's all LSU. I I was surprised too by the 7. I thought this game, would be LSU at least, more than 10 points. So
Yeah, if you would have just blind guessed me, like, what do you think LSU, South
yeah,
Carolina at South, I would have said 13 and a half.
yep,
Like,
yep,
I'm shocked at 7. I think people want to believe in South Carolina. They
yeah,
have some of the best athletes, some of the coolest players in the country. I
hmm
really do, but I think LSU is way too talented. I just don't
yeah,
believe in South Carolina yet. They look terrible week 1. I don't believe in Kentucky. So there was a nice win last week, but it's not like I believe in Kentucky either.
no,
I'm jumping all over LSU probably tonight before the lines change tomorrow
yeah,
because I want that 7, man. I think they're going to put it to them.
yep,
Couple other bets as we kind of make our way down through here. Michigan at home, 23.5 against Arkansas State. I really don't want to jump on Michigan much this year. I like the under 47.5 here. I think the Michigan defense is going to get it together. I think they're going to go back to running the football. Arkansas State, they're 2-0. Nice start for them, but it's still playing at the big house. I think Michigan gets it back together, gets a win here. So 2 nice wins. Arkansas State, nice little win, 20-24 over Tulsa last week, but I think Michigan's too much here. And Ben, you tell me what you think here. I much rather take the under in Michigan games than the points. What do you think?
yeah. No, I'm with you. I think this game is going to be all Michigan, though. I think Arkansas State might get one score. I mean,
Yeah.
Michigan's
So
going
you
to
think you
be.
could take both? You could take
I think you
Michigan.
could
You get
probably go
2-team parlay
both.
that.
But
Take the under and Michigan
yeah,
covering.
I'm with you though. I think this would be the under looks really good to me because I could see this being like a 38-7. No, they wouldn't. And Michigan wouldn't even get
I
38.
I think like
It's
38-3. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I feel like it's somewhere in
yeah.
that range. Like Michigan's going to get out
It'll be
38-3,
all Michigan.
35-0, 35-3.
The only
So
way it
yeah,
goes over is if you get like some weird pick sixes or like a special
oh,
team
Michigan, yeah, the
score. Yeah,
defense
yeah,
scores a bunch of points to kind of just like send it
yeah.
through the roof. I agree on that one. This is a game, college football 25 on PlayStation 5. I'm playing with Memphis. I had this game here against Florida State, and I got absolutely worked. I want the update because Florida State is not as good as they are in that game.
They need to get with it.
They need to. Dude, 6.5 Memphis. Am I crazy for kind of liking Memphis here? Am I crazy? I mean,
I
it's
don't
at
think
Florida
you're
State, which is a
crazy.
tough place to win. But man, Florida State, I just don't believe in DJU at all.
No, I don't either. And I don't know a whole heck of a lot about Memphis. I haven't followed or paid much attention so far this year, but I know Florida State's not what people thought they're going to be. I mean, shoo, man, I'll probably stay away from this one, but I don't know. I'm with you.
This will be it would be just a heart pick by me taking Memphis because this. I mean, let's be all completely honest. This would be a monster, even though Florida State's not good. This would
Yeah,
be a monster win if Memphis won at Florida State. So I mean, you'd really.
yeah,
I was hoping this would be higher, to be honest with you, because I really
yeah,
want to take Memphis. But 6.5 is tough. They're keeping it close. I think Boston College is better than people realize, and I think Georgia Tech's actually better than people realize. So while I don't think Florida State's good, I think they've actually played 2 teams that are better than
yeah.
people thought they would be.
The only thing that scares me about taking Memphis here is you'd be kind of like if you went Florida State, you're buying them very low. You know what I mean? And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's good to buy low with some of these teams because
The
the
smart
market's
money,
like
Benny, you're right. Now
it
you
is
say
Florida
that.
State. Yeah,
The smart money is Florida State at -6.5. They win by a touchdown.
but that feels
That's the
scary
smart money.
too.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, putting money on Florida State right now is a scary, scary thing. All right. We got Oklahoma State, Tulsa, 20.5 for Oklahoma State, Tulsa. Tulsa's been better. I like Tulsa. Oklahoma State after the last week has really got me nervous. I feel like this is a game they should really, really roll on. 21. I could see him on 21. I'm going to have to really think about this one if I want to ride the roller coaster that is the Cowboys 2 weeks in a row. That one had me freaking out in the basement last week. My son's going, he's like, "What's going on, Dad?" I'm like, "This game." I was like yelling at the TV. I'm like, "This is just wild." I was like, "Do I want to take a week off from the Cowboys or not?"
Yeah, that's probably smart. That'll get your blood pressure too high. You go with the Cowboys again.
NC State 21.5 against Louisiana Tech. That's another one. NC State looked really bad last week. I think that Tennessee is pretty good. I would probably move this line if I can. If I can move it to right at 21 or get it under 21, I think they have a bounce back game. I think NC State's better than they looked last week. I just think they were not ready for Tennessee at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Tennessee is legit. They're a legit top 5 team in my book. NC State's better than they looked probably last week. I could see them putting it on this week, getting it together.
This next one, Texas Tech, North Texas. I'm probably avoiding this one. Texas Tech has not looked good. North Texas looked pretty good last week. They got some nice players on their team. This is a game I'm just staying away from. I cannot, in good conscience, take Texas Tech right now. And, I usually, if I'm going to take a dog like this, I have to really like them. I think North Texas is nice, but I don't know if I love them enough to jump in on this one.
Yeah, not on the road either. Yeah, that's a tough one there. It's kind of an in-state rivalry game too.
Yep. So then you got next one, Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, plus 3.5. Cincinnati looked all right last week. A tough game against Pittsburgh. I would lean Cincinnati if I was betting on this one, but I'll probably avoid it. Anything for you on this one?
Yeah, I got nothing really on that one. I don't think.
What about this? Another Missouri 11:45 start at home against Boston College. This at the beginning of the season looked like an automatic win for Missouri, and not anymore. Boston College breaking into the top 25, ranked number 24. Missouri all the way up to number 6 in the country. MIZZOU. Back-to-back shutouts for the Tigers, 51-0, 38-0. It might seem like nothing against those two teams, but this was a team that people were a little worried about the defense coming in. They had a lot of guys to replace on defense. Everybody liked what the offense was at. Defenses look solid. 2 back-to-back shutouts. I saw a stat the other day. I can't remember what it was. It's been a long, long time since Missouri started the season with back-to-back shutouts. We already talked about Boston College beating Florida State 28-13 and then a 56-0 romp of Duquesne last week. 17 points seems like a lot. I think Boston College is way better. I like Missouri, and I haven't taken them in a game yet because the spreads have been huge. I think it's going to be a game. If I had to be pressed, I would take Boston College plus 17. My fandom really makes me not want to take the other team in this one. I think Missouri pulls this one out, but 17 seems like a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually kind of just want to take Boston College in the point. I do think Missouri will win this game. I think they'll pull it out in the end. But that seems like a big number, man. And I think Boston College they just got a little something. They got some gamers on that team, especially on the offensive side. This is Boston College going to hang around, I think.
Yeah, that said, I like Missouri in this one. Man, 17 points feels like a lot in that one. UMass Buffalo, I don't want any part of. We'll skip over that one. Coastal Carolina Temple. Temple has not looked good. Coastal Carolina's actually looked pretty good.
Rolling. Yeah.
I usually like to jump on the Chanticleers. I do like to bet the Chanticleers, the 18.5. I'm going to look at maybe a early afternoon parlay. I might throw them in there at 18.5. Even though they're at Temple, I do like them. They've looked really solid to start the year, and Temple has not looked good.
No, Temple, not much to say about them. No,
they're 2-0 against the 0-2. Yeah, look at there. Notre Dame, Purdue. Big Ten versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off that big loss. They're a 10-point favorite. Are you touching this game? If you would have told me before last week's loss in Northern Illinois, Notre Dame was a 10-point favorite at Purdue, I would have been all over this game.
Oh yeah, that's what kind of makes me want to take Notre Dame, just because it seems so cheap. 10 points. It's like they really should beat this team by 20. But
yeah.
Ooh, they might be a little shook after last week, man. That was
I know.
that was not
They
good.
got to get a bounce back. They tend to play really well against Purdue, though.
They do.
I think I'm going to jump on the Irish. I really do.
You.
I think they're going to have their coach is telling them, "Hey, we just lost a freaking terrible game that blew us up, but hey, we're freaking Notre Dame. If we can end up going in with one loss, we're making the playoffs.
You're still in."
And I said that earlier.
Yeah.
Notre Dame 11-1 or 10-2 is making the playoffs. They just are. Yeah. They're Notre Dame. They're going to get them in there, just for the ratings reasons, the travel, everything else.
Yeah,
you got to. That's the nice thing with it being 12 teams instead of 4 this year, Benny. If
it was, they better hope the Northern ends up winning the MAC.
Yeah.
Which they
might help them, but even just one loss, I think one loss still gets you in it. Like, it doesn't knock you out. Like in the past, if it was like only top 4, they'd be Dunskies. But I think they still have a shot to be in it. I'm jumping on Notre Dame the -10. I think they're going to pull it together and kind of pop things right now. The only thing about Purdue in this one is they had a bye week last week, so they've had 2 weeks to completely and utterly prepare for Notre Dame. But I still think Notre Dame gets this one done. Big rivalry, Oregon State. How are you feeling about the Ducks and the Beavers? I was out on the Beavers last week. They ended up beating my San Diego State Aztecs in a game that should have been closer than was. They ended up winning 21-0. San Diego State, a late turnover on the goal line that could have tied the game earlier in that game. These rivalries are already tough. Oh, man, I just think Oregon's a much better team than Oregon State. 16.5. I think I got to jump on it before, because if this game gets a game time, there's no way this thing isn't over 17. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to go up. But I don't know, man. Oregon's just not been impressive at all. I mean, either game, and it's like, and I really thought they were going to be world beaters, So that's making me real hesitant.
I know you liked them to make the playoffs. I was a little iffy. You liked to make the playoffs. I was a little worried about their transition to the Big Ten. And it's been a little shaky. It's been a little shaky start. Oregon State's going to come out at home and play their butts off against Oregon. Everything tells me I should be taking Oregon at 16.5, but they haven't earned it. They haven't earned me taking him. I think it's my brain going Oregon the last 5 years. My brain saying Oregon's been great the last 5 years. Why wouldn't they win this game by 17? That one I'm going to have to think about, Betty. I'm not ready to pull the trigger. It might be a void game because, man, Oregon, until they show us something, you're right. It might just be like, hey, let's just stay away from the Ducks.
Yeah.
Here's another team that they're 2-0. But a disappointing 2-0 Oklahoma. I thought they would absolutely roll Houston last week. I took them to cover in that game. It was in the 20s. They just barely got by Houston, who got rolled by UNLV. They won 16-12. Jackson Arnold was supposed to be the next great thing. They actually pushed Dylan Gabriel out, made him go to Oregon because they were like, hey, we want to get Jackson Arnold to start. So they pushed him out. Jackson Arnold, 19-32, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick last week. The offense for Oklahoma, the coaches just don't look like they trust these guys at all. I'm probably avoiding this game. If I did anything after what I saw out of Tulane last week, I may take Tulane to cover. I would want it to get over the 2 touchdowns, and that would be a real Hail Mary. I wouldn't take it with a lot of confidence. I'm probably staying away from this game because I don't trust Oklahoma right now at all.
No, I'm Tulane or nothing in that game. Tulane's not bad, man. They're actually a decent team, and I
agree. If it gets over,
and that'll probably go to 14.
If it's over 14, you're taking it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm beyond Tulane. Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the same way. If it gets up to 14.5, 2 touchdowns, I think I'm jumping on Tulane there. They looked good against Kansas State last week. That was an absolute battle. And Oklahoma's going to have to do something. I mean, dude, they have not looked good. I mean, they just do not look like the team we thought they were going to be. Their running backs were supposed to be studs. They've looked very average. Yeah, if Oklahoma loses this one at home to Tulane, that SEC schedule could be rough for them.
Yeah.
Ball State, Miami, 36.5. I jumped on Miami last week thinking it was an absolute shellacking. They just missed the cover last week, so that one hurt me as I was like, they're going to put it to them. They didn't. I mean, they won handily, but they didn't get the cover. This one's like, hey, do you just love the points? Do you think Miami puts it to them or not? I almost might jump on that one and take some Cam Ward overs. That might be where I'm at. I like Cam Ward. I like Damian Martinez. If I get on that game, I'm probably jumping player props on Miami players.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's a pretty safe bet. They're gonna chuck it around. They've looked really good on offense.
Do you like anything in this Texas A&M Florida game? I can't stand either one of these teams. I just it turns my stomach thinking about putting money on either one of these teams with any confidence.
Those two teams used to be so good, like it was
so good.
And now it's just like, you just look at that game and it's like, I don't know. Anything can happen in that game. You might get a 14-7 game in that game. So I don't know.
It could be so ugly. I could see literally you could tell me anything happened in that game and I'd believe you. I just have no confidence any which way at all. Florida's coach is on the ropes. Texas A&M just got a new coach. What is Florida going to do? I mean, they've got Graham Mertz, been around forever, but then they played the superstar freshman DJ Lagway last week. He's everybody's favorite everything.
Right.
If you're up against the wall at Florida, do you just go F it and just move on from Mertz and let Lagway play? So at least you don't have it hit the fan and then he transfers next year because he didn't play and you sucked. So this is something these coaches got to think about. That, in the past, you didn't have to think about as a coach. It's like, if I don't play this kid, he's just going to leave right away. Well, you got to think about that now. If you don't play these kids as freshmen, sophomores, if they're big-time players, somebody's going to give them money, and they're going to take off. So do you worry about the senior Graham Mertz, or you say, hey, he's whatever, man, we got to play this kid and hope he sticks around?
Yeah, that is tough. That is something they didn't always have to deal with before, but man, I don't know. If I'm Florida, especially if it seems like the rest of the team responds good to the freshman, then it's like you kind of just for momentum reasons because they haven't done anything. So it's like you almost just got to throw caution to the wind. And like you said, it's a double. Maybe you get a spark out of your team, and then on top of it, the kid probably doesn't transfer. So that's a tough call. You kind of know what Mertz is, So,
what about you got anything in the Apple Cup? Washington State, Washington. Washington State's offense has looked pretty good. Their quarterback has looked pretty nice last week. A nice 37-16 win over Texas Tech, 70-30 win over Portland State in the opener. While Washington, whole new coaching staff, basically all new players. They're 35-3 and 30-9 winners, but they played Weber State and Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
Another rivalry game. I love rivalry games, but I don't know if I want any part of this game. If I had to take something, I would take Washington State at the +5. Just I think it's close, but I don't have a good feeling about if either one of these teams are actually good or not. I really don't know.
I'm with you. This is a wait and see one for me. I got to see what happens because I can't make a call on that. Now I'm with you. I think if I had to do something, I'd probably take the points, but I don't know.
Yeah, that one's a toughie. Minnesota, Nevada, 16.5 seems like a lot. Minnesota, I like them as a team. I don't know about that one. Do you like that game at all, or are you just skipping right past it?
Again, to me, it'd be probably Nevada or nobody, but Minnesota, they'll probably just grind that one out. I could see them definitely not covering the 16.5, but like handling the game from start to finish. You know what I mean? Yeah.
16.5 seems like a lot for them. They're just not a team that puts up a ton of points.
Yeah.
It's 43.5, so that's always just pretty low. If I had to
Right.
do anything, I'd go on the under there. The under is
Yeah.
minus 108, but I'm probably avoiding it. Again, I'm worried about turnovers. Does something crazy happen and we get points because of the turnovers? But the under feels like the safest bet if you're going to take something there.
Yeah. Yeah.
West Virginia, Pittsburgh, another rivalry game. Pittsburgh looked good last week. West Virginia got worked week 1 by Penn State. These two teams, pretty big rivals, hate each other. +3 Pittsburgh at home. I'm avoiding this one. I can see this one going either way. I think this is going to be a close game, but I just don't have a lean either way on one of these teams. So I'm avoiding this one. Anything for you?
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like West Virginia, but not enough to do anything here. I think it's again, these rivalry games are so wild. It's hard to say.
All right, jump a couple more here. Iowa at home against Troy State, 22.5-point favors with the beautiful over-under of 39. That is Iowa. They won 2019 last week in the rivalry game against the Cyclones, Iowa State. Are you an Iowa believer? Taking out Troy? Do you like the under? Do you like last year was the under central on Iowa, but they've gotten close here. They won 40-0 against your Illinois State Redbirds and then 20-19. So again, these games have been right there at that 39-40 mark. I don't know if I feel comfortable about it. 22 seems like a decent amount here, even though I don't love Troy this year. I think this might be one of their worst teams they've had in a little while.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not confident in Iowa. Do you like it? Do you take the points? Do you take the under, or you just avoid?
It's probably I would either take Iowa or avoid it because I could see them winning, 28-0, and just completely shutting Troy down. But that's such a scary because if Troy just does anything, then your bet's
they pop
over.
one in and lose 28-7. You're like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Appalachian State, East Carolina. I don't have a lot of feeling on this one. I haven't really looked in this one much. Appalachian State just got absolutely hammered by Clemson last week. Everybody talking crap about Clemson, 66-20. They just put it to them. East Carolina's really played nobody. I don't have a good feeling about either of these teams, so I'm staying away from this one because I just don't think I have enough info.
Yeah, I don't know much on that.
Arkansas 24.5 against UAB. They've looked pretty good to start this year. I still don't know if I'm an Arkansas believer. I'm avoiding this game.
Yeah, I don't trust them to cover the 24.5. I would probably lean UAB in the points on that one. Especially Arkansas coming off a wild game there last week. It could be a little bit of a letdown this week.
Yeah, Utah State, another rivalry game. It's kind of interesting with all these conference realignment. We're getting a ton of rivalry games in week 3. It's like everybody decided, hey, we got to get the rivalry game instead of the end of the year. We got to put it in before all the conference schedule starts. So we're getting a lot of action here in week 3 that we usually don't get to see. Utah State, it's -20 for Utah. Utah, a 23-12 win against Baylor last week, 49-0 in week 1. Utah State, 36-14 win, I think against Robert Morris in week 1, if I'm correct. Yes, it was Robert Morris. And then a 48-0 drubbing by USC last week. To me, in this one, it is a rivalry. I like Utah. I kind of like the defense. It's 44.5. I would lean the under in this game. I just think I like Utah's defense a lot. I just think they're a team that can grind it out. I think they can shut you down. Yeah. I'm not a total believer in Utah State at this point. They've had some big offenses in the past, but at 40, USC was an absolute sieve last year, and they just got shut out 48-0. So if I'm on this game, and I've been on Utah all 3 games on the under, and they've been under in every game. So I'm sticking with the under in this one.
Yeah, it's just Utah is too slow of a pace. They run the ball. They got a great defense. I'm with you. That's a good way to look on that one.
We got to bring this one up. My FAU Owls. I always bring it up. My sister and brother-in-law went there. After a really good game against Michigan State, lost 10-16 in the opener, almost pulled the upset. Really got handled by Army last week. Army just pounded them on the ground 24-7. So they're 0-2. Indiana worked FIU week 1, 31-7, but then they came back with a 52-16 win over Central Michigan, which makes me feel pretty good about the Illini this week against Central Michigan as they got worked by FIU. This one's a toughie. I really want to take FAU, but I have to be honest with you. I think I'd be betting with the heart more than I would be betting with my head in this one. 5.5, I'm probably staying away from. If it was under 3, I'd probably take the Owls just out of just feeling like I have to for the sister and brother-in-law, just so they don't yell at me about not taking them. But I don't know if I like the 5.5, and I don't trust FIU enough to cover, so I'm not taking this game.
Yeah, I'm probably staying away from that one too. That these rivalry games are they're tough ones to bet, because even when you think one team has an edge, they're just the games are just a little different.
All right, we're coming up on an hour on the show here, so we're going to smoke through some of these last bets here, see what games we like and don't like. Duke -17 over UConn. I don't think you could pay me money to watch this game. I'm not going to joke to you. Duke, UConn, basketball, absolutely. This is a Final Four, glory days. Football, ugh. I'm not betting on this game because bad. I don't care and I don't want to watch it and I don't want to have to pay attention to it.
I'm with you 100% on that.
I would love to take Virginia Tech -14 against Old Dominion, but after they just absolutely took me to task in that Vanderbilt game in week 1 when I had them as my best bet and they lost in overtime at Vanderbilt, now I'm struggling to have any kind of confidence. As the better in me, it still hits you in the heart. Even you're like, oh, that's still a win. You should take them anyway. It's like, you guys screwed me. You don't want to take them again. Texas Tech right now, excuse me, not Texas Tech, Virginia Tech, 14-point favorite over Old Dominion. To me, Virginia Tech should cover that easy.
I was just going to say, I think I'm going back to
Old Dominion. Old Dominion 23-19. They lost to South Carolina by 4, and now South Carolina's only a 7-point dog to LSU. This is why college football is crazy week to week. You said it right off the bat, man. You just never know. Teams get up, they get down, something happens, your girlfriend gets in a fight with you, you play terrible. We're talking about 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids for the most part. The last couple COVID years, 25, 26, 27-year-olds, but like most of those guys are gone. So there's a few of those left, but to see how these games kind of turn. Virginia Tech lost that opener OT to Vandy, who's actually looked better than we thought.
Yeah.
If I'm taking Virginia Tech, if I take out the loss week 1 and I just don't think about the sting, I'm taking Virginia Tech in this one all day at -14.
Yeah, I think I'm Virginia Tech or nothing in this one. I just can't see Old Dominion. Virginia Tech needs to get things right. They need a get right game. So I could see them.
Yeah, and it's going to be a wide open ACC. I think if they can get right, like you said, they should be in the mix in the ACC. A couple more here as we're moving along. Liberty, UTEP. Liberty. Oh, my goodness. I jumped on them last week thinking this is an absolute smoke show game. They had to rally like a mother to come back in that game. Luckily, I jump on and live bet them when it was like, they were 20-something point favorites. I live bet them when it was like -6.5 or something when they were like down 2 scores. So I ended up getting my money back on that one. Don't love UTEP. They're very okay. I think Liberty's going to get together, man. They just have more talent. They just got more talent. They got better players. A nice come from behind to win 30-24 against New Mexico. Won 41-24 against Campbell. They haven't quite hit their stride, but I also think part of that is they weren't supposed to be anything last year. They went undefeated, and now everyone's on them. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you guys should go undefeated. Now they're like, it's a little bit different playing when you're supposed to win every week. UTEP lost an OT to Southern Utah last week, and then they lost 40-7 in the opener to Nebraska. Again, it's a lot of points, 23 and a half. I really want to take Liberty in this game.
Yeah.
But they've only combined to win by 24 points against Campbell and New Mexico State. So why I really want to take Liberty here, I got to wait. I got to see them blow somebody out before I'm laying 24 points.
Yeah, I'm with you. They should. I mean, they should. But like you said, it's a little different when you're the front runner, man. It's a little tougher to come out and play free like that, you know.
What do you think? Ole Miss, Wake Forest. We talked about get on Ole Miss because they never take the foot off the pedal. They were one of the only big spreads I hit last week. I took them. Trying to look up what the spread was last week when I actually took them. They ended up winning 52-3. I think they were like a 40-something point favorite, but they covered it. It was 49. They smoked. Right now, sitting on this week, it's 23.5 against Wake Forest, over under 64.5. Wake Forest, really tough loss to Virginia last week, 31-30. They won the opener. It was 45-13 against North Carolina A&T. Ole Miss 76-0 over Furman and 52-3 over Middle Tennessee State. This is going to be the first road test plus playing a decent team. I think Ole Miss wins this game for sure.
Yeah.
Do they cover the 23.5 for you, Ben?
I don't. I think they do. Just because of the pace they play. I don't think Wake Forest is very good. I think Ole Miss is actually pretty good. They're going to be, at some point in the season, they'll be a ranked team. Then, their schedule gets tough. But I think this is one they probably get it rolling in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Wake Forest wants to kind of play up tempo too, which I think plays right into Ole Miss's hands. Ole Miss, they're all the way up to number 5 in the country right now. Lane Kiffin doesn't want to take off the foot when he's at 5 in the country. He wants to just keep putting the pressure on. I think they cover this. Jackson Dart has been awesome. The transfer from USC, everybody kind of originally transferred in. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, he's good. Is he going to be able to maintain? What is the pro prospects? Listen to these numbers, folks. This is Jackson Dart through 2 games. Now, granted, they haven't played anybody real tough. 47 of 54, 87% completion percentage, 795 yards, 397.5 yards per game, 14.7 yards per attempt, with 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions so far this year. He has absolutely lit it up. I'm on him here. I think Wake Forest is going to try to play with him. I don't think Wake Forest has the defense. I think Ole Miss goes into Wake Forest and absolutely smokes them. 23.5. I don't think it's enough. I think they clear this.
I'm 100% with you, and I think they might put up 50 again.
I think they do. I think it's going to be hard to see them score under 50 most of this year until they play someone with a solid defense.
Yep.
All right, Texas. How are we feeling about Texas? Is there any kind of letdown after the big win at Michigan, or do they keep the pedal to the metal? 35-point favorites against UTSA. UTSA has been one of my absolute favorite bets the last couple of years. I've absolutely loved them. They've had some really good, nice offensive players and QBs. Quarterback, they have Josh McCown, former NFL quarterback's son, is the QB. They just are coming off a 49-10 loss to Texas State as a 2.5-point dog. They lost by 38 to Texas State. Texas 35. I think Texas smokes them. I usually don't like to take the points here in a game like this, but I think Texas at home, the fans are gonna be drunk. They're gonna be rowdy. They probably been partying since the Michigan game. They probably haven't stopped. They're ready to freaking roll this. I think Texas puts it to them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Texas can be, even though it seems like it should be a little bit of a letdown spot. I think Texas is going to be 100% believing in themselves going into that game. So there should be no stop.
And Sark is preaching no let up. We just beat the defending national champs at their place. we can't get embarrassed at home against this level team. I think he's going to have them ready to roll.
I agree.
Vanderbilt at home, 10.5 against Georgia State. Vandy, at Georgia State, Vandy's looked pretty solid so far. The 7-point win in OT versus Virginia Tech, then 55-0 against Alcorn State last week. Georgia State, 35-12 loser to Georgia Tech, and then beat Tennessee Chattanooga 24-21. My cousin Rent went to Vanderbilt. I took him on his trip there to check out the school. I was like, if you don't go to school here, you're an idiot. This school is awesome. The sports are questionable. Man, the school is awesome. Nashville is awesome. This would seem like a tough trip, but man, I kind of want to take Vandy here. I kind of want to do it, even though I like Georgia. I think Georgia State's got a solid team. I kind of want to take Vandy here.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt's good. I mean, I think they're pretty decent. They played.
They got Diego
Pavia,
the transfer from New Mexico State at QB, and he's looked pretty good so far.
I know, and I don't know that Georgia State is definitely not going to be able to. They're not going to. I know they're home, but I could not bring myself to take Georgia State in this one. So I'm Vanderbilt or nothing.
Yeah. I like Vandy. I think Vandy, after the two starts, they cannot lose momentum. They got to win this game at Georgia State. San Jose State, Kennesaw State, -19. Ben, this might be my pick of the week. I do like San Jose State a ton in this game. Yeah. -19. I liked them last week against Air Force. I just think this team is solid. I think they've got some nice players. Kennesaw State so far has lost 34-10, and they lost to UTSA 28-16. So only 12-point loss there. San Jose State 18-point winners against Sacramento State, and then a 10-point winner against Air Force. 19's a lot. It's a lot. But I kind of feel like San Jose State gets it done at home. I like San Jose State. I know 19's a ton. You know what I'm probably going to do, Ben? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in a late night parlay in. I'm going to put a 6 o'clock or later game in. I'm going to move this game down to 16, and I'm going to parlay them for sure at -16. I already know I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably be on that. They got the total really low, 44. So, and San Jose State, it was the Air Force last week.
I think it's only low because the Air Force game last week was only 24 points, but they had 66 in the opener.
Okay, so I like it then. I like do a little parlay there, like you said, move down to 16, maybe take the over. I kind of like that.
Yep, I like both of those, Ben. I like it. I move it down to -16. I take the over at 42. Like move it down to 42 and take the over. Something I like that. I have a feeling that me and the Spartans are going to be friends this year. I'm going to be on the Spartans a lot. I
do it too.
We like it all. We get those West Coast teams that we just end up loving on the late nights, and we just kind of jump on them. So I think the Spartans are going to end up beating my team this year. Southern Miss, South Florida, 11.5. I'm not even thinking about this game. I'm not taking it. I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah, nope.
Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee State, -7. Western Kentucky. If I took anything, I'm taking Western Kentucky here. They've had a tough early season schedule. They're 1-1. Obviously, got manhandled by Bama 63-0, but beat Eastern Kentucky 31-0. Middle Tennessee State lost 52-3 to Ole Miss, and then they won the season opener against Tennessee Tech by 7. To me, I think this is Western Kentucky pretty handily. I'm taking Western Kentucky at the -7.
Yeah, I mean, Middle Tennessee is pretty bad, I think. So I'm with you on that. I'm Western Kentucky, and sometimes Western Kentucky, when they get it going, they can really get rolling. So I could see them.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like you said, if the offense gets going, I think the Hilltoppers put it together. So I'm on Western there. You got any feelings on Jackson State or Jacksonville State and Eastern Michigan?
No, not really. Eastern Michigan's shown to be awful. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about Jackson
they've
State.
been bad. Jacksonville State was kind of a sneaky play last year, but they're already 0-2 this year.
Okay.
They lost 49-14 to Louisville and then lost 55-27 to that Coastal Carolina team I like. So I'm staying away from this one. I don't really like either one of these teams. Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors, who we love to bait late night 6:00 game Central Time.
It's early for them.
I don't think I can take Hawaii in a game.
Sam
that
Houston's
early.
pretty good too.
Sam Houston's pretty solid, and I just don't like Hawaii in that early of a game, so I'm avoiding that one.
Yeah, I'll probably stay away. I might think about Sam Houston, but that's a high variance game that could go either way for sure.
Georgia at Kentucky, -24. I feel like you have to absolutely hammer Georgia in this game. Kentucky just lost to South Carolina, who I think is very average. Georgia has not had to do much at all and just have dominated. I can't believe this is 24. I really can't. I mean, if this game was at Georgia, this game's got to be 31. It's got to be.
Oh yeah.
Georgia's going to absolutely wipe the floor with Kentucky. I'm taking this game. I'm taking Georgia all day, every day. I'm telling you, game day. If this game is not over 28 by the time kickoff hits, I'll be shocked. There's no way the betting public doesn't just start hammering Georgia late in the week.
Oh yeah. No, this one feels fairly safe. I don't see how they don't cover 24 in this one. Kentucky is
another big rivalry game. Was a huge game last year. Colorado State. That super late night game, win all night. Awesome game. Colorado -7 at Colorado State. I know I'm going to probably end up eating my words again here. I'm on the Buffs. I know I shouldn't. I know, again, everyone else burns me. I'm off them. I'm sticking with the Buffs. I don't think Colorado State is all that good. They lost 52-0 to Texas. I think Colorado gets it back together here. They're back in Colorado. I think it's a tough game. I think Colorado still wins it. I think Shedeur Sanders gets back on point. I think Travis Hunter has another big game. I'm definitely going to same game parlay some player props in that game. I can guarantee you. I'm going to jump on Shedeur Sanders, Jimmy Horn, Hunter. I'm going to get on some of that stuff. So that one will definitely be posted on the Twitter page when those props come up.
No, I'm with you. Colorado's going to be focused for this one, though. I think I'd be leaning towards them covering that 7 pretty easily.
UCLA, Indiana. This is just burning my eyes, to be honest with you. UCLA I think is terrible, and the fact that they're a 3-point dog at home to Indiana tells you what kind of program you have. How UCLA? I know Indiana, and I know the Hoosier fans are going to freaking rip me for this one, and I don't care. I know they won 77-3 against Western last week, and everybody's like, "Oh, we beat
Western
FIU 31-0, 108-10. They've won 108-10 so far." Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh, I was on Hawaii plus 400 plus. It was plus 435 or 445. I was on Hawaii at UCLA last week. UCLA was leading the entire game. Hawaii was leading the entire game. UCLA had to pull a magic hat out to get a field goal at the end to win it. But Hawaii should have won that game, was up the entire time.
Yeah.
I took the under on UCLA this year. I had them winning this game handily as one of their 4 wins because I have them under 4.5. They're dogs at home to Indiana. Oh, I can't do it. Ben, I cannot put money on the Hoosiers. It's probably the bet. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably the bet.
UCLA is.
Are you taking the Hoosiers at UCLA?
I think I'm gonna do it. I think they can score. They can score, man. And UCLA is.
They have looked good on offense. And UCLA has just looked terrible.
I might be just running into the worst situation ever for Indiana to go to UCLA and try it. But the Indiana, I think, is an okay team, and I just think UCLA is not. I just think they're not good.
Talk about a welcome to the Big Ten moment. You are dogs at home against Indiana. Wow. Wow.
How
What
far
world are
away
we
from
living in,
that?
Ben? I feel like I'm in the upside down world. This is crazy to me. Auburn, New Mexico, as we're finishing up here in the last 10 minutes of the show. Auburn, 28-point favorite against New Mexico. I can't do it. Auburn just absolutely buried me last week. We got a quarterback crying about people messaging him because he sucks. He was terrible at Michigan State. I actually am shocked that he's been started at Auburn in the last 2 years. I love their wide receivers. I think they have good offensive players. I just think Peyton Thorne sucks. I just don't think he's any good.
He's real hard to back. Let's put it that way.
He's hard to back. And New Mexico is feisty. They're feisty.
Yeah.
They lost the season opener to Montana State 35-31 as a home dog. Yep. They really played tough against Arizona 61-39. I'll tell you what, if you have not watched New Mexico's quarterback, Devin Dampier, if you have not watched him play yet, that dude's exciting. He can run. He can throw. He's a playmaker, man. The guy has got some juice. True sophomore. I like him a lot. Rago Mendenhall. There's the head coach of New Mexico. God, if I just had money to just burn, I'd be all over New Mexico plus 28 just to stick it to Auburn. I'd take it. I'd take them just plus 28 just to do it. And here's the thing: I think New Mexico is almost as good as Cal. I think New Mexico is almost as good as Cal, and Cal put it to them. I don't know, man. You know what's gonna happen late night when I get a little feisty. I'm gonna put money on New Mexico plus 28. This is gonna happen. I already know it's gonna happen.
I'm thinking about that right now. I'm thinking, well, I know what I'm gonna be looking at.
I'm gonna do it. Toledo minus plus 11.5 against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's been kind of sneaky. Toledo good. Do you like this game? You like anything here? Are you avoiding it? What do you think?
Probably avoiding that one just because
I'm avoiding
these late games. It's probably not the one I'm going to be watching. So
Mississippi State's probably the smart bet. Like you probably think they win that, but man, Toledo's always scrappy. Uncle, I always thought right. I got a relative that went everywhere. My Uncle Ted went to Toledo. He's a Rocket. I can't disrespect the Rockets like that. I think they play that game closer than people expect. TCU, UCF. Another one, I'm not sure. They're both 2-0. I think this is probably going to be a good game. They're both tied for first in the Big 12. I just can't figure out which team I like better, so that's why I'm avoiding this game. I actually think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's probably going to be a super watchable game. I just don't have a good feeling on either team, so I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's such a coin toss of a game. But like you said, it should be a good watch. It'd be a fun one.
Baylor 15.5 at home against Air Force. Air Force after last week, man, their offense looks rough. They got some injuries. I usually like the Falcons to keep it close. 41.5 is the over-under, which is not pretty. I should take Baylor, but Baylor hasn't looked great. I'm probably avoiding this one. Baylor should win this one, but man, I could see this just being ugly.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that. That won't be one I'm going to be paying much attention to. I don't think.
Yeah, you love Tennessee, Benny. Are you taking the 49 against Kent State at home? 49
cover.
That's what it's like it's 49, but God, what they probably win 56.
Yeah, I do like Tennessee this year, though. I think they're going to be in the mix when it's all said and done. But yeah, this is just such an easy game for them to just shut it down in the second half and just not have to do anything, So that's just so many points.
I agree with you. Next one, Rice, Houston, another rivalry game here. Oh, I gotta stay away. Houston does not look good. Rice with a nice 69-7 win over Texas Southern last week. Dean Connors, 9 carries, 113 yards, and 3 touchdowns, helped out my fantasy team. But they lost week 1 to Sam Houston State by 20. Houston has not been good. A tough 16-12 loss at Oklahoma, but they lost 27-7 at home to UNLV. I can't in good conscience bet either one of these teams. I know. I can't in good conscience take a game. At that point, I'm just throwing money to throw money at something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Any of these last couple games you like? BYU, Wyoming, 11.5. BYU a favorite at Wyoming. Wyoming's been disappointing to start this year. BYU, they've been feisty. An 18-15 win at SMU, which was a big cover by them and a big win. And then they won 41-13 against the Southern Illinois Salukis. We both have a ton of friends that are Saluki grads, so they got a big win there. I would have think this would be a close game, but man, Wyoming has not looked good. 48-7, Arizona State put it to them. And then we kind of made fun of Oregon for playing close against Idaho, and then Idaho turns around and wins 17-13 at Wyoming. If I had to put money on this 11.5, I'm taking BYU. I probably am not taking this game. I think it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of ugly scores, in Wyoming. Who knows late night what it could be like, late start.
Yeah.
I'm probably avoiding this one. If you twisted my arm, I'm taking BYU. But man, I really would like to have it closer to 10.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had to do something, BYU, but you got a total of 40. I don't. Yeah, that's such an ugly game.
Ugly. Last two games of the night, 9:30 p.m. My San Diego State Aztecs against Cal. I had this. I put money on San Diego State over wins 5.5 this year. I had this Cal game as a win. Cal, after winning at Auburn and San Diego State, losing to Oregon State. This game is a 19-point favorite. I'm shocked. If you would have said early part of the season, before the season started, I would have guessed this game would have been closer to like 3 or 4 points. You know what I'm saying? I would have said this one would have been close. It's going to be tough. I really want to take San Diego State to cover after the loss to Oregon State. I think Cal is, jacked after beating Auburn. Oh, it would, again, that's a total gut betting with the heart. That's probably not the smart bet at plus 19. San Diego State's got a new coach. They got a freshman QB. They look pretty solid week one. They just couldn't get together against Oregon State last week. I actually think Oregon State and Cal are kind of equal teams, even though San Diego State lost 21-0. This one would be a total bet with a heart to cover the 19. If I don't put money on San Diego State, I'm avoiding it because I just can't. I can't take Cal to win by 3 scores.
No, I'm with you. I wouldn't mind taking that. This would be the time of night. I'd roll with the Aztecs and take the points. What the heck?
Especially if we can get to 21. Maybe we just move that sucker up to 21. I could see us jumping on that one. And then the final game of the night, Fresno State, New Mexico State. 19.5. Fresno State is the favorite in this one. Both these teams 1-1 currently. Fresno State a 30-10 loss to Michigan in the opener. 46-30 win against Sacramento State last week. And then New Mexico State, the 23-16 win in the opener against, I think it was Lamar, that Southeast Missouri State is who they played, 23-16 win, and then they lost that game they had handled against Liberty. Would have been a huge upset. Ended up losing 30-24 in that one. They are 19.5 point favorites for Fresno State. I like Fresno State a lot as a team, but man, New Mexico State Aggies, they like to hang around. They just like to hang around and play a gritty, ugly game. I'm probably avoiding this one. That seems like a lot of points. I could see Fresno State covering it, but I just don't have a good feeling about it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, New Mexico they are kind of one of those scrappy teams. I could see them sticking around there. So that might be another one. We might parlay that with the Aztecs and have a little something going at the end of the night there. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So any game, Benny, we went through the whole mix. Anyone you really like or you want to throw in it here in the last minute or two here of the show that you're telling people as you kind of thought about it as we went through the show, anything that you really liked? Obviously, me and you are going to talk about this. We'll throw some more bets on as the lines change and we like something a little bit here or there. But anything like really stand out to you?
There was one now.
I really like Georgia. I'm going to tell you, I really like Georgia. I think they absolutely smoke Kentucky. I just think that's an absolute smoke job. Flipping back through here, other games I'm trying to see who I like. Utah and the under has been a nice one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna roll with Notre Dame against Purdue. I think.
I like that Notre Dame -10 against Purdue. I like that one. I'm on that with you there. I do think Notre Dame bounces back.
LSU at South Carolina. I like LSU.
Oh, that's my other one. If I'm going SEC, I'm gonna do a little 2-teamer there. LSU. Well, I'm doing LSU Georgia for sure. I like the idea of LSU Georgia Notre Dame.
Yeah.
A little 3-team parlay there. I like that a lot, Ben. Oh, Alabama. I'm throwing that in there. Minus 16. Yeah. I think they crush Wisconsin. That's my 4-team parlay. That's there it is, folks. My JT parlay play of the day. We just gave it to you live here. I'll put it together. I'll figure out the odds and put it on the X for you. But I'm taking Alabama minus 16, LSU minus 7, Georgia minus 24, and Notre Dame minus 10. That's my 4-pick parlay play of the day.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw it's gonna be my plums bet of the week, and I'm taking Indiana minus 3 at UCLA.
Daddy, I like it. It's ball. I like it. It would be so great for Indiana to win that game in LA. People are like, "Who is this team? Where are you?" Like people in LA are like, "Where's Indiana?"
What is going on? Yeah,
Indiana to take out UCLA first year of the Big Ten, dude, would be pretty. Again, it's another basketball game. You got Indiana basketball, UCLA basketball. Man, we got Final Four here, but in football, it's ugly. I like it though. It's ballsy. I just think UCLA is real bad.
They're bad.
I think they're real bad.
Yep.
So I like that plums. I love the call there. That's going to do it for us here. We're at the hour and a half mark. We went through every game. Usually we don't go through every game, but we made it through the whole list this week. So follow me at JT Orange. Follow Ben at Ben Dyer 8 on Twitter. We'll put bets on there. You can always follow the show at JT Brew Stew. At JT Brew Stew on Twitter. We always repost all our bets on that as well in all the shows. Please go follow JT, the Stew with JT Brew. Also follow Fantasy at Frames, as we are now at our new home, Fantasy and Frames. Thanks for Jorge and everyone over there for adding us to the great lineup that's over there right now. Tons of content. Everything you can want. Redraft, Dynasty, DFS, college gambling, NFL games. If you're into college fantasy football, Monday night, the 1 Foot Down podcast is fantastic. If you're looking for waiver wire pickups, I just wrote the waiver wire pickup for CFF. I'll have my IDP waiver wire pickup tomorrow. My fades. Actually, I'll have not the waiver wire pickup. That was on today by Jorge. I'll have my plays and fades tomorrow for IDP. Whole loose the show all night, 3 straight hours of Fantasy and Frames tomorrow night on YouTube and the X. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Great crowd jumping in and watching the show. Thanks for hanging with us here on a late night, as we really appreciate it. And Ben, we're going to put it up right here, Ben. He says, Indiana, good bet. Scott, we love it. He jumps in. Scott. He backing Ben on that bet. I love the plums bet of the week from Benny. That's fantastic. That's going to do it for us here on the Stew with JT Brew. May all your bets hit and the trading never quit. We'll check you next time.
You up on trades and why you move. You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing. Racking up points makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release. We started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub. So start an institute. Make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sifting through sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes down to homies who click in groups. I introduce